My name's Julie Bindle, and I'm going to moderate this session. And I'm going to get underway now, despite our missing speakers. One missing speaker, that's not too bad. And I'm delighted to be introducing Jackie Mearns to you. Jackie, over to you. All right, welcome. Is this okay? Can you hear me? Yeah. Is that okay? Right, well, I'm Jackie Mearns. I blog as May 30. And what I want to talk about today is my story of being a woman who's a survivor of a relationship with a man who claimed to be a woman, and my insights into what that idea that's propagated by essentially cross-dressers, transvestites, fetishistic men means to them about what a woman is, and how women who want to say anything contrary to the given tropes about the bravery of transition experience. Keep it to time, okay. I met this man online. I hadn't met him in the flesh. And we became friends, and it eventually became a relationship. He told me early on that he was a transvestite. That was the word that he used at that time. And I just thought to myself, yeah, this is my glasses. I'm cool with that. I'm still looking for I'm edgy, I want to be part of this rebellious crowd, puts the finger up to gender norms, etc. I'm cool. I thought he was an outlaw. A gender outlaw is quite a thing to do. He told me that he had a strong feminine side, so of course, my only understanding of that man with a strong feminine side came from men like Eddie Izzard, who at that time was not declaring himself to be transgender of any sort. He was clear he was a man, the clothes were his clothes, not women's clothes. Whatever he was doing privately in his bedroom was never mentioned. I thought, yeah, cool, yeah, Eddie Izzard, Rocky Horror Show, cool. So I'm a child of the 70s, as you might have noticed. So men in dresses, makeup, etc., gender bending as they called it, that was all familiar to me. And again, I thought, I'm not interested in toxic masculinity. At the time I met him, I thought I'd never have another relationship with a man. I wasn't really looking for a relationship with a man, but he seemed to be not a bad man. And, I believed in again, back to Rocky Horror, I blame this for everything. I believed in the idea of, not dreaming it, but being it. I felt I could live as some kind of outlaw, this was cool. I actually felt quite privileged that he disclosed this part of his secret self to me. And I felt I was carrying his secret in his heart, and his secret became my secret, and I didn't realise that this was actually became a trap in that I was inside the closet with him. But it felt hugely flattering that a man would be so vulnerable with me. And any woman who've ever been involved with a man knows that that is quite attractive for them to show this so-called gentle side of them. So anyway, I'm a bit of a swot really, and whenever I encounter anything new, I go and I read as much as I can, I research. I'm really quite boring that way. But I came across this book, My Husband Betty, Love, Sex and Life with a Cross-Dresser. And it was written by a woman called, I was known to claim as Helen Boyd. And her story seemed quite similar to me. She seemed a similar kind of person to me, same kind of age, aging punk, outsider. So their story spoke to me, certainly what I aspired this relationship to become. I was really enchanted by the depiction of their relationship, which seemed so loving and surrounded by, well, this was back in the mid-90s perhaps, about how they were surrounded by what I now come to understand as queer culture. But within that, they had this very strong bond. So I wanted a taste of that. I wanted a bit of that. You know, in no way was I ever morally outraged. I don't have any pearls, let alone ones to clutch. There was no, I was not disgusted in any way by anything that was being presented. So I joined the My Husband Betty message boards, which is an offshoot of the book. And I discovered there that although it was meant to be for heterosexual couples who were wanted where the male was a cross-dresser, and a discussion of those relationships and worries, all that kind of thing, it was easily at least 10 to 1 men to women. And by women, I mean women in my sense, not in any other sense, not that there is any other women in my other sense, but anyway. And I was on those boards for maybe 5 years, and during that time, more and more of these originally cross-dressers were declaring themselves to be actually transgender. The term transgender was becoming increasingly common. And so worries were creeping into my relationship as well. So I was looking for answers in that group. In particular, my worry was about how what was originally presented to me as some kind of hobby, some kind of offshoot of his personality, was actually all-consuming. Everything revolved around opportunities for dressing up, for going out in public dressed up, for socialising dressed up, for engaging with my friends he wanted to while dressed up. Inserting himself into my friendships with women, where they couldn't see what was going on, but I kind of knew that what he was getting out of it was a kind of role playing by stealth, that he was getting to be one of the girls, and it was kind of really, really disturbing me, the level of sexualised ideas that he had about women, and how the being a female to him meant a series of costumes, like the sissy, the maid, the cheerleader, the girl next door. I'm not really sure what that is. Another sexy lady. And increasingly he told me that what he really wanted to be was a bimbo. And all these terms for women, he couldn't see, well, he didn't recognise, I could recognise the sexism in them, the objectification of women. Yeah, this was a man who was telling me he felt like a woman. He clearly knew nothing about what women feel like. When I saw this image, none of that was a surprise to me. So, anyway, the whole thing of Helen Bourne, her husband, their cool relationship, the love and all the rest of it, my life wasn't like that at all. I just mentioned that he'd been certain someone to prevent my friendships. It got to the point where if I did go out with any female friends, and anyone who's ever been in an abusive relationship will recognise this, he'd be phoning me, texting me, when you're coming home. When I said I wanted to go out with my friends, he would say, well, can I come? And I would say, no. And he'd say, to me, it's because I have a penis, isn't it? Well, yeah, there is that. He insisted that he was a lesbian, and therefore I was a lesbian, and believe me, I'm a lesbian now. Not within the context of that damned relationship. Like a lot of women who are in an abusive, controlling relationship, I withdrew from a lot of my friendships and became very isolated, particularly from women. I didn't want to expose my friends to this. And I became more and more a sense of being alone. We've all seen stories like this. My husband's ex saved our marriage. My soldier happy will soon be my wife. Another one about it saving their marriage. None of this was saving anything. Thank God I didn't marry him. It wasn't like this at all. I was controlled. I was financially and emotionally abused. Latterly, it became physical because I would fly off in a rage because he'd crossed some boundary. I'll tell you one thing he liked to do was dress up in lingerie and hang out of the window smoking. And where I live, the neighbours can see the window. This was his exhibitionism, and at first I didn't even tell him he was doing this, and I found him doing it when I walked into the bedroom unexpectedly one day, and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, it's just hot. But then I got a letter from my landlord saying that people were complaining about somebody smoking out the window, and the smoke was drifting up to my neighbour above. So I said to him, please stop smoking out the window. Of course he didn't stop, and one day I went out the back door, which I very rarely did, and there were hundreds of cigarette butts out there. He had no reason to smoke out the window. I smoke, he could have smoked in the living room, but he would often disappear for days on end into the bedroom, where he would look at pornography, female porn, sissification sites, online domination, and basically masturbate himself silly, and then have a fag afterwards out the window. So I was looking for support. I thought to myself, I was still thinking, can I make this relationship work? And my husband Betty boys were telling me it can work. It's not easy, but so I went to the LGBT centre in the town I'm from, and I said, do you have any groups for women whose husbands are transitioning? And they said, they looked at me like I'd just, I'd sprouted a second head. And I said, well, we've got a group called Tea Time, which is for trans women and their families and partners. I was like, no, I want something where there won't be any trans women around because, I might say something which might offend, or I knew what trans women were like and trying to shut down any discussion. Oh, no. So off the little young man went, and he asked this group for tea time. Would any of them who would be interested? And of course the response back was, no, there's no demand for it really. So, okay. And when things got really bad, I went to the Women's Support Service, I emailed them, and I asked them for, could they refer me please to a feminist, specifically a feminist counsellor who would understand some of the things that I'm going through. And I told them about my situation. It took them 2 weeks to get back to me. Meanwhile, I've been barred off their Facebook group for even mentioning this, being called a transphobe and a homophobe and all the rest of it. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I got an email back saying that no, I couldn't recommend anybody to me and just to try that kind of generic online help. So I went researching about what is informing these organisations. Of course, we found, we're so inclusive, and the trans umbrella, under the trans umbrella, you clearly see cross-dressing people under their protection. Part of their policy document said, in the circumstances that any other service user say they're uncomfortable sharing a service with a trans woman, this is rightly seen as no reason for the trans woman to be involved, to be moved. The service has to make any decision about provision based on good practice rather than prejudice, and this jumped out at me immediately. In this situation, we would work to educate other service users, much in the same way as if we would receive comments regarding other service users' ethnicity, religious affiliation, or sexual orientation. The last thing I needed was to be educated. So anyway, basically, the way that the media media covers things like, you know, like there's the cover of Time magazine, most of us will have seen this, the transgender tipping point. But what it really is like for women like me, it's more like the TV Times than Time magazine. I'm going to end by reading you something which will give you an insight into how some of these men view their female partners and what their uses are to me, and I'll read it as quickly as possible. This is like something he wrote, okay, about before I had even managed to get him out of the house, okay. There was photographs, it was on some kinky website, okay. I love to dress up, as you can see. I love women who love the transgendered. I've been dressing since I was four or five. First outing on Femme when I was about 11 or 12. He never told me that before. I always thought I was weird, never felt right or normal. From about 15, I decided I was just a transvestite and enjoyed DFP, dressing for pleasure for years while remaining firmly in the closet. As time went on, I realised I was really fucked up and sought help from the interwebby thingy. Oh yeah, and an unsynthetic GP. So at 28, I was at last considering the fact that I was transsexual, interwebby thingy. Life went on in my closet for years, now dressing on my own and my various girlfriends' clothes, until I met a fine woman that enjoyed my feminine side. That would be me, I think. The more I had, the more I wanted. Just dressing at the weekend wasn't enough. This time I went to see somebody professional. I went to the GP and they referred him for voice training and said you've got to live 2 years in a row before you be considered for any hormones or anything. But of course, I wasn't prepared to do that. And ordered hormones online. By the time this man left me, he had a pair of breasts, okay? But hasn't ever lived full time. Oh, happy days. Or so I thought. After many life traumas, I came off my transition train. Yeah, that's because I told them, like, begging. When it hit the buffers through redundancy, a few opportunities to go out on Femme, no money. He gave his job up because he said he was going to transition and he wasn't prepared to transition on the job. So now I have a job, I need to get back on the bike. And listen to this. So female companionship is required. Not that I need makeup, shopping or dressing help, it's just I function better in a unit. Parasitically. You didn't write that, that's me. I need my femme mojo back to get back my confidence and strut my stuff. I love metal, glove music, blah blah blah, so lady in the same scene be fantastic. Kinky would do me, or the very least naughty, mildly deviant and have the devil in her spirit. I wish to serve a dominant lady who will strip me of my masculinity and turn me into her human doll. Behavioural, physical, mental transformation is what I need. Hormones, corset training, breast pumping, surgery, anything to be the perfect little slut for you. Tie me, beat me, whatever pleases you. Chastity, humiliation, permanent makeup, sissification, extreme feminization. Let me be your bitch, plaything, toy or doll. I'm happy to dress how you wish, act how you want, behave as you command, whatever makes you happy. I hate myself. I am worthless and I need a female mentor to create the perfect feminine maid, companion, partner, friend or lover. I'm an open canvas for you to have fun with. Go on, treat yourself, I'm all yours on all fours. Humiliate me in public, gender blend me. Your fun will only be limited to your imagination. I'm prepared to live in and relocate or maybe interested in a kidnap scenario. I love role play, most aspects of BDSM lifestyle. I only draw the line with toilet play. Very open-minded and willing to try most experiences. I'm 5'11", long brown hair, blue grey eyes, blah 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 blah. My penis is cut and 5 inches long. I also have pierced ears. Don't ever try to tell me that that is a woman.
Very much, Jackie, that was utterly superb. couldn't have been clearer, and I'm sure we're all grateful to Jackie and mindful of the fact that it has to cost a lot to actually speak in public about something so personal.